Welcome back to a new edition of an unnamed football talk show. I don't know what I'm going to call it. Maybe the football corner is what I've kind of like it. I don't know. But if anyone has any ideas, let me know because I have zero ideas other than that one. So I guess I got one. Today we're going to be talking about fantasy. Finally, right? The season's starting soon, about a week away, and you got to be excited because I'm excited. 2020 has not been our year, and football's pretty amazing, regardless if there's fans or no fans or how they're going to do the announcing and all that stuff. I don't know. But I'm going to list the top 10 players in each position minus defense and kicker. I'm going to only do 5 because less important. And I'm actually going to start off with them right now. We're going to do the kickers. I know everyone's excited for the kickers. So am I. Realistically, a kicker, they can win games. If you get a kicker that consistently gets 10 to 15 points a game, imagine 10 and 15 points if you didn't have that and you had a kicker that gets like 1. You're missing out on a lot of points, and they could potentially win you the game. So this is why you have to draft a kicker in the first round. I don't care what anyone says. Draft a kicker in the first round, and you'll probably win your fantasy league. 100%. Guaranteed. Just kidding. So the number one kicker, I think, for fantasy is going to be Butker on the Chiefs because they score so much that he's going to have a lot of extra points, and they're just going to have a lot of opportunities to kick field goals. And then number 2, I'm going to go with Justin Tucker. It's Justin Tucker. He's probably the best kicker in the NFL. But hey, you never know. Number 3, I'm going to go with Robbie Gould, solid kicker. The 49ers, I don't think, are great finishers, so I think they're going to score a lot of field goals this year. And that's one reason, along with consistency, that I would pick Robbie Gould up as your kicker. Number 4, he wasn't on my list before, but he just got signed by the Titans yesterday, and they released their kicker, Greg Joseph. And he's been one of the best kickers in fantasy, in the league, on the Patriots. Stefan Gostkowski, or however you say his last name. Yeah, he's in my 4 slot because, the guy with the Patriots was so consistent. He's one of the top fantasy kickers. I think you have to pick him up. I understand his age is like 35, maybe 36, but hey, Adam Vinatieri wasn't bad until like 45, so you never know. And I would pick him up in the later rounds, obviously, when you select kickers, if the other kickers are not there. And then I would go with whoever the Bucs kicker is. I know that they have 2 kickers on the roster, I think. I don't know. I swear they just signed somebody. Maybe not, but this is how much I care about the kickers. Sorry, kickers. You're like I said, you can make or break a game, but no one really likes to talk about kickers. But I think they're starters. His name's Matt Gay. On the Bucs, that would be my 5th kicker to pick up because I think the Bucs offense is going to be deadly next year. They just picked up Leonard Fournette. They have a stacked running back field now. And obviously the wide receivers, Gronk, and the guy that's leading everything, Tom Brady. He's pretty good too, I'm not going to lie. He's all right. Won a few Super Bowls, I think. Next, we're going to go right into the defense. Some people might not like what I'm about to say. The number 1 defense in fantasy next year is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Listen, I don't... It's not biased. At all, I promise. It's not. It's not. It's not biased. Okay, well, maybe a little. But if you look at them, they statistically last year, they did pretty good and were the best in some categories. I think this year is going to be a repeat, and I think they're going to be the best defense in fantasy. I know the Patriots, I don't think, are going to repeat what they did last year, so Steelers are the best for me. But I guess it could be a toss-up between the Steelers and the 49ers. And the 49ers are my second best defense. It's pretty clear. They did lose Buckner, but it's not that big of a deal. They're going to be good again. And if you wanted to pick them first over the Steelers and whatever, you're not going to hurt my feelings. But I picked the Steelers as the first defense in most of my leagues. I know it's a terrible mistake, and I try not to do that, have the same players in each league, because, you know, if I got one league wrong and my entire team is the same as the other leagues, I'm not going to win any of them, you know? So that's why I try to have some variety, and I sometimes won't pick up, you know, the same quote-unquote potential players that might be great in the later rounds, because I don't want to have the same bench or the same starters. But a lot of the times, I'm a big Cam Akers fan, and most of my leagues I have him because I think he's going to really do good. And, you know, it's not great, but, you know, when you can do it, you can do it. Anyways, a little rant there. Number 3 would be the Ravens. They did lose Earl Thomas, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. They still have Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters, which are going to shear up that whole defense. And they have Calais Campbell. I mean, the guy, I know, is in the twilight of his career, but this defense is still scary. And, you know, it's the Ravens. I think they're going to be a good defense. Earl Thomas leaving does not scare me at all to put them number 3. And number 4, they were not high on my list before this one trade that they did and got probably the best safety in the NFL right now, Jamal Adams. The Seattle Seahawks are my number 4 defense, and the reason being, it's the Seahawks. I think with Jamal Adams, he's going to have this, like, I'd like to say Minka effect. It's similar to what he did on the Steelers, Minka. You know, changed the entire team because we just played better defense, you know, with a safety like that. And Jamal Adams is going to add to a pretty decent defense already. And it's not the Legion of Boom, but it's pretty good. They got Bobby Wagner, one of the Griffin. I always get their names mixed up, the Twins. But the Griffin that plays cornerback, pretty good. He's pretty good. And the other safety, his name is Diggs, right? He's pretty good safety. And I think Jamal Adams is going to elevate them all, regardless. So, and who knows? They might sign Clowney still. He's still a free agent. And if they did, he's really good against the run and everything like that. So I don't think they're going to allow many points next year. They might not be big in turnovers and sacks and all that stuff, but they're still going to score a lot of points because they're going to hold people down a lot. So the sacks they get or the interceptions they get are going to be magnified because they're not going to have teams throwing, you know, 30 points on them a game. It's just not going to happen. They're maybe get 20 a game, you know. I'm sure the teams will score higher than that, but we'll see. I just think that putting the Seahawks there, it makes sense at number 4. And then the 5th one, I'm probably just being stupid with this one. I don't know. I think the Chiefs are going to be good next year in terms of fantasy, defense-wise. I could go into all the players they have on defense, Matthew and Frank Clark, Chris Jones, but I don't know. They're probably going to be pretty good. And I know they're going to see the field a lot, but I don't think it really matters. I think that they're going to be really good, just have a lot of hype coming off the Super Bowl win and just holding, again, teams low points in games. And, you know, it's just the sacks and everything like that are going to be points that you're not going to lose from the penalty of, you know, team scoring on them or whatever. So that's my top 5 defense, my top 5 kickers. The most unimportant players. Sorry about that. There you have it. Now, it is time for the holy grail of the NFL, the quarterbacks. Most people don't pick quarterbacks in the first round. They say you got to have running backs, wide receivers, especially in a PPR league. You know, honestly, if you wanted to draft a quarterback in the first round, and it was Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, maybe even Russell Wilson, do it. I did it because I lost a bet. I had to draft him 9th overall, Lamar Jackson. I don't know. I'm probably still going to win that league. You can, as long as you get Patty or Lamar or even Russell, those 3 quarterbacks get a lot of points. And honestly, you're probably going to do all right. Now, you're going to, I wouldn't do it like first overall, but the first league I ever did, I drafted Peyton Manning first overall. I can't remember how good I did, but that was the year he had 55 touchdowns. So, it was a pretty good year for quarterbacks. But my number 1 quarterback in fantasy to have this year is Lamar Jackson. It's simple. He had 36 touchdowns last year. He didn't hit 4,000 yards, but again, 36 touchdowns. He didn't throw a lot of interceptions, and he had 1,200 rushing yards as a quarterback. 1,200, yeah. The 1, 2, 0, 0. 1,200. 7 touchdowns to go along with that. He was, I believe, 6th in rushing. And that's not just like quarterbacks, obviously. 6th in the NFL in rushing. That means he was the 6th best, quote-unquote, running back last year in terms of fantasy. So you're drafting a guy who can get 1,000 yards rushing with 5+ touchdowns. And a guy that can throw for 36 touchdowns, only throw, I think he was less than 10 last year, and almost hit 4,000 yards. I think he had 3,600. Yeah, that's the guy I want in fantasy. That's the guy I want in fantasy. And I'm pretty sure the 2 of my big leagues that I have, I'm pretty sure that both people that won had Lamar Jackson. Coincidence? I mean, possibly. But that's why he's number 1 for me. Number 2 is my favorite quarterback to watch, Patrick Mahomes. Man, he's just so cool. He's just so cool. I think he's going to have a big year. I think 40+ touchdowns, if not 50 again. It's going to be a big year, I think. Just a lot of the hype, and it's a weird year, so I don't know. Anything's possible, but I think he's going to have that many touchdowns. So that's why I'm putting him at number 2. I think he's going to have a ton of touchdowns and really lead the category in fantasy points almost. Number 3, Russell Wilson. He's probably the best quarterback in the NFL that's like over 27, I guess. He's just so good. And, he is a rusher, but he's also just like an MVP type player every single year. He's consistent. He's going to get you probably 30 touchdowns next year. It's a solid pick. And if those 2 aren't there, you're picking Russell. Maybe you're even picking Russell before those 2. I personally wouldn't, but, you're probably going to make out okay and have around the same points. Number 4, I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson. He's a rushing quarterback as well, so that's why he's kind of this high. I'm a little nervous to see how good he can play without DeAndre Hopkins. How is it really going to affect him? I don't think it's going to be that bad, but, it could be. Number 5, Dak Prescott. The guy I think was number 2 last year in fantasy points for quarterbacks. We have to give it to Dak at this point. He's good. And maybe he should even be higher on this list. I don't know. But you look at the offense that they have. It's fantastic. You can't beat that. So that's why he's number 5 for me. We just have to accept that Dak Prescott is a good quarterback for fantasy. We can't have a bias against him because he's a Cowboy. You have to draft him. And seeing how this video is already running really, really long, I'm just going to do 5 and maybe a plus if I feel it. And I'm going to throw in that plus. Number 6 ranked quarterback, Josh Allen. I don't even want to explain it, but he's really good. Got a good arm, and he's a rushing quarterback. So his fantasy value should be really high. And with that, I'm going to skip over to the running backs. Not doing 10. I'm only doing 5 just because I see how long this video is running. And if anyone's even watching this, what are you doing? What are you doing? You have this much time to watch me talk? Ramble on? Come on now. I'm sure there's a lot of things you guys could be doing, like going to the mall, going to the movies, or going to a bowling. All right, you're right. You're right. You're probably watching this because you've been home all day and you're bored. I understand that. Maybe you need a little help in fantasy. Maybe you want to see how wrong I am in fantasy. Maybe you want to at me and, Like, how could you say that? I'm open for it. I expect to hear some backlash to anyone that watched this video. Like, how could you rank them that high? I don't know. I just did. So the running backs that I have in fantasy, the top running backs in fantasy. Number 1, I have James Conner. Now, I know you guys are going to be like, oh, he's hurt. It's James Conner. He's going to have 2,000 yards, probably 30 touchdowns. I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. I'm just joking. It's Christian McCaffrey, number 1. Don't have to explain it. If you're in a PPR league, this guy, he's mint. He's going to get you a lot of points. You know he's going to get you a lot of points. He's going to have an amazing year. Teddy Bridgewater's quarterback. I am all in on Teddy. He's going to be great. DJ Moore's going to have a good year. So it's a solid pick, number 1 overall. Christian McCaffrey, you have to. You can't even not do it. If you don't, you're going to, I don't know. People are going to be like, why didn't you draft him? That's all. Probably that will happen. You might lose. Maybe you might win. I don't know. Number 2 is Zeke. And in a PPR league, he doesn't get a ton of catches, but he's the most consistent back in the NFL. The most consistent back in the NFL. He doesn't get hurt. I believe the only games that he ever missed in his entire career was when he was suspended. And he still managed, I think, to almost get 1,000 yards. Or maybe over 1,000 yards. I'm not 100% positive. I don't have the statistics right in front of me. But he's the most consistent back in the NFL. And again, I think the Cowboys offense takes a jump with Mike McCarthy. They have CeeDee Lamb also. Michael Gallup's fantastic. Amari Cooper's really good. Dak Prescott's a really good quarterback. Yep. Zeke's number 2 for me. And the reason I put him in front of Saquon Barkley, who's number 3, is because Saquon got hurt last year. Can I trust that he's not an injury-prone guy? I don't know. But he's number 3. And, if you wanted to draft him because Saquon, I think, had 97 receptions in his first year. That's a lot of points in PPR. I'd get it. But are you going to take the risk that Saquon can stay healthy? And the Giants' offense does not look better than the Cowboys' offense. But I did see a point that Jason Garrett has been the head coach, and he's had great seasons with running backs. Or not the head coach, the offensive coordinator. And he's had great seasons. DeMarco Murray's seasons. Obviously, he's been the coach of Zeke for the past 4 years. So we might see a lot of similar numbers between the two, and maybe even more, because I think Saquon is a better athlete than Zeke is. So we'll see. And number 4, it just gets really confusing after 3, I think. I'm gonna go Dalvin Cook though. I think he can repeat the season that he had last year. I don't see a ton of change in the team. They lose Stephon Diggs. But I have to put Dalvin Cook there because I can't see putting anyone else higher than that. I don't love Alvin Kamara. He's in the top 10, but he's not that high. I can't put Chubb up because I'm afraid of Kareem Hunt, that he's going to take a lot of carries. Nick Chubb last year was an amazing back, and I would put him that high. He's number 9 on my list, but that's why I'm putting Dalvin Cook at number 4. And number 5, Derrick Henry. A little concerned that he's only a rusher, so like in a PPR league, might be a little bit less, obviously, than other backs that are going to get a lot of catches. But, he's really good, and they're probably just going to hand it off to him a million times. So I feel good with Henry at 5. Rounding at 19 minutes right now. Jeez. Let's go over. Yeah, let's do wide receivers. I do not have Corona. So, wide receivers, top 5s, I think it's pretty easy. I am not a Devontae Adams fan. I don't think he's that great. He's kind of inconsistent. You check every list, he's top 5 every time, but I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's that consistent. So you're not going to see him in my top 5, but he is in my top 10. With that said, the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy, Michael Thomas. Not Mike Thomas on the Bengals, who one of my friends drafted on accident in the third round, I think, because he thought it was Michael Thomas. He's new to fantasy. He doesn't watch football often, but it's kind of funny to see that. He's going to have a ton of catches, and he's honestly a great wide receiver. I hate the argument, he runs slants. He runs slants. He runs slants all the time. Okay, so if a guy runs a slant every time and he's going to, wouldn't the defense be able to stop it? Oh, if they were good, yeah. He's just really good. But he's number one guy in fantasy. I think he's going to get a ton of catches. Number 2, Julio Jones. Now, a lot of people like putting like all these young guys in. Julio's been doing it for a long time, and I'm going to pick him before I pick anyone else if Mike Thomas is gone, because this offense, I think, is just going to leap, in terms of production, because I'm a huge Todd Gurley fan. I think he's going to have a big bounce back year, and this offense is going to see a jump. Calvin Ridley's really good. Take some pressure off of Julio, and he's going to get a ton of catches. PPR, it's what you need. And the one thing that scares me is he never gets a lot of targets in the red zone. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense, but oh well. Number 3, DeAndre Hopkins. He's so good. You look at the quarterbacks that he's had throughout his career. He's made it work. He has made it work. Whether it was Brock Osweiler or Tom Savage, doesn't matter. He is good. Kyler Murray looks really good. Offensive Rookie of the Year last year. This team is going to be good. The Cardinals, I think, they could have a really good season or a really bad season. I don't know. Tough division, but they're going to definitely improve in the passing game with D-Hop, and he's going to get a lot of the attention because although Larry Fitzgerald is, one of the best receivers of all time, number 2 in receiving yards, he's like 38 years old. So now Jerry Rice played till he's 42, and maybe Larry Fitz will do that too. But D-Hop's going to get all the targets, most of them anyways. But that's who I have at 3. D-Hop. I love him. He looks a little weird in the Cardinals uniform. It's going to take some adjustments, but they're going to like him there, and he's going to get a lot of catches. Number 4, Tyreek Hill. He gets hurt, doesn't he? He gets hurt a lot. So I could see why people wouldn't put him in the top 5. And it does make me a little nervous. But he's so good when he's on the field. And Patrick Mahomes, I think, is going to have a great year. So it'd be stupid if I didn't put him in the top 5. Because I think he's going to have a big season. Watch Tyreek Hill get 1,400 yards this year with maybe, 100 catches, 10 touchdowns or more. It's top 5. He's top 5. And number 5, Chris Godwin. I think he's going to have a better season, I guess, than Mike Evans, who I put at number 6. Big breakout year last year. Can he do it again? I think so. This Bucs offense in general is just going to be so good. The scary part with Chris Godwin is the fact that he has so many weapons. Gronk, Cameron Brate is still there. O.J. Howard's still there. They got Ronald Jones, the rookie Keyshawn Vaughn, Leonard Fournette, Mike Evans. It's a lot of targets just there. So will all this star power mean that he's not going to get the touches? Same goes with Mike Evans. It's a possibility. But I'm going to roll with him. I drafted him a lot in my leagues. So I'm going to roll with him. I think he's top 5. For those of you wondering, I put Devontae Adams number 8. Last but not least, a position in the NFL that I feel never, ever, ever has good, I got a tight end. There's a couple great tight ends, right? And that's it. And it's hard to get a good tight end. I think PPR makes it a little bit better because usually tight ends get a lot of 5-yard, 7-yard, 8-yard catches. So having the PPR league, that's great. But if it's not, you're struggling to get a good tight end, a tight end that's consistent. You just can't get them. Number one, I think it's Travis Kelce. I think he's the best in the league anyways. But again, Patrick Mahomes, that number one guy right there, Kelce, every year he's really good. And he gets a lot of points with Patrick. Like, I don't know what the average is for him, but it's definitely like 17 at least, if not more. He's really good. Patrick Mahomes loves him. Great target. And with all the uncertainties with the wide receivers, you have to pick the consistent Travis Kelce. You have to. I remember the first year that Patrick Mahomes started, so the year after his rookie campaign, I was playing my cousin who had Patrick, and I had Travis Kelce, and like he could have beat me because I think it was the Broncos game where he threw that left-handed pass. It was crazy. But Patrick could have won him the game, right? And I had Travis, and he just kept throwing it to him. He probably had a couple touchdowns or whatever, and every time he throw, it's like, yes, let's go, because he's just giving me more points. Keep throwing it to Travis, and I'm going to win, and I end up winning. So I thought it was pretty funny. Number 2, George Kittle. That offense is like kind of bad. The 49ers offense. Jimmy Garoppolo is like sort of good, sort of not good. But the wide receivers, man. The wide receivers are not good. Deebo Samuel has a lot of hype, but he's hurt right now. Jalen Hurd, another guy that has a lot of hype. He's out for the whole season. They don't have Emmanuel Sanders. They lost Marquise Goodwin. So, like, this team on offense, the receivers, not good. So George Kittle has to be the receiver guy. He has to get all the receiver-type numbers, and that's why he's number 2. Number 3, Zach Ertz. I think I'm just putting it here for consistency. Every year he's pretty good. And kind of the same thing with the Eagles that the 49ers have. I think the Eagles are better than the 49ers wide receiver core. But, like, the receivers cannot catch in Philly. So Zach Ertz again has a Philly receiver type role. And number 4, a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people, and they're like, no, you can't put him, don't even draft him. Like, who says he's going to be good? He's taking a year off. He's not, as good as he used to be. He's old. He's this. He's injury, blah, 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 blah. It's Gronk. Gronkowski. You know him? Yeah. That's why he's number 4. And I'm not even concerned about Cameron Brate or O.J. Howard. And Cameron Brate doesn't even get that many touches a year. Not worried about O.J. Howard. I'm not worried about Cameron Brate. Rob Gronkowski, that's Gronk. That's why he's number 4. I'd put him number 3 over Ertz had he played last year. But because he hasn't played, I'm going to put him at number 4. And I think that's where it kind of drops off right there. And you're like, Number 5, I have Darren Waller. Had 1,000 yards last season. Again, we're seeing a theme here, one after another, all the way since the first one. And you could even argue that the Chiefs don't have a great wide receiver core with Sammy Watkins, who had like 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns in the first game and like kind of fell off the rest of the year. Hardman, who's honestly, I think he's going to have a good year. And then Hill, who might be injury prone, but is amazing. But then you had the 49ers, Philly, and the Bucs, obviously one of the best receiver cores in the NFL. So don't think about that. But the Raiders, can you name me the best receiver on the Raiders last year? I didn't think you could. Maybe you did. I don't know. But they just lost Williams. What is it? Tyree Williams, or I think that's his name. He's out for the season, and Henry Ruggs, I think, is actually a really good wide receiver rookie. But somebody has to be getting catches, so it's going to be Darren Waller. The only thing is he only had 3 touchdowns last year. Kind of concerning, but maybe not. Depends. I don't know. I'd put him at 5. And some people would be like, yo, wait a minute. Where's Mark Andrews? He's at number 6. Don't worry. He's not that far down. I like Mark Andrews. I think he's a good tight end. He's really young. I think he's 23. But I think that they're going to come back, take a step back in the offense this year with the Ravens. I've just seen it too many times. Hype, not good. Really hyped, not good. I think Lamar Jackson's a really good quarterback. I think they added J.K. Dobbins, which makes Mark Andrews like plummet in fantasy. I think they'll be a good team. It's just I don't think that they're going to have the same exact numbers. I think it's going to be a lot less. And Mark Andrews is going to suffer a little bit from that. But really, I mean, again, the Ravens don't have this crazy wide receiver core. You know? They have Hollywood Brown. He's pretty good. But he didn't stay healthy last year. I think he's going to take a step forward again. But, I mean, these are uncertainties. And that's why you can't go wrong with Mark Andrews at 6, I think. So that's my top 6 tight ends. And with that, I think I've covered everything. In 31 minutes, I doubt a lot of people watched all 31 minutes. Doubt it. But regardless, I did it. I hope this year, I hope that COVID doesn't affect football that much and we don't have to take pauses and stuff like that. That would suck. That would really suck. So I hope that doesn't happen. And I hope that the fans not being in the stadiums doesn't affect the game too much. I don't know what it's like or what it's going to be like to watch it without fans. You know, it's going to be like, it's going to be crazy. And I don't even know how they're going to do commentating, you know, in a booth. Like, they're going to wear masks the whole time? Or they're going to be 6 feet apart. Like, they are usually, you know, far apart anyways. How is that going to work? But regardless of what happens, like, watching football is just amazing. It's the best thing in the world. And that's why I get so excited when fall comes around. I love fall in New York. And for those of you guys that don't know, I'm staying in New York for another 6 months instead of going to LA. So I'm going to be just having fun, eating pasta, watching football, and enjoying the fall weather in New York, which is amazing. So I guess that's it for this video. I need to really come up with a name and other things probably. I don't know. It's a long video. It's really long. I've been out here for 33 minutes. I need to go get a drink, maybe some food, some Stewart's coffee. They should sponsor me. That should be a sponsor. My whole 87 subscribers, they should sponsor me. I drink every day I drink coffee, so if not 2 times a day, they should sponsor me. That's like $1,000 a year in just coffee that I spend. Like, give me a sponsor for that, you know? All right, I'll catch you guys on the flip. I'll probably do a video after the first week, talk about what happened, fantasy stuff. Might do a ranking of who I think is going to make the playoffs this year. That would be pretty quick. I whipped that right up. I think I already have an idea. So if anyone watched this whole video, let me know what you guys want to see. Because I'm bored. I get out of school tomorrow and I'm done. So, got a lot of free time. So hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you guys want to see. Levi, thanks for watching the whole video. I know you're trying to beat me this year. So thanks for watching the whole video, Levi. I really appreciate it. I know you get tight with my name in fantasy. Levi's trash, but you know I'm taking the chip this year. So, all right, guys. I'll see you guys later. It's the longest outro ever, right? Let me just play with this thing a little bit. All right, I gotta shut this video off.